Hey guys, welcome back. This time I wanted to do a quick video where I show off some of my more recent graphic novel, trade paperback and hardcover buys and reads. And I figured this might be an interesting insight into what else I collect besides Marvel trading cards. So first off we have the Warhammer 40k Only War Omnibus by Boom Studios. This was released in 2008 and I actually bought it in 2008, but I wanted to reread it recently because I've been watching a bunch of Warhammer 40k lore videos and I always had an affection for the Warhammer 40k universe, despite the fact that I never played the tabletop game. I only played a bunch of video games that play in this universe, but I always liked this dark concept. Then next up we have the Friend of the Devil graphic novel by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, which is the second Reckless book, I guess you could say, and it's about a private investigator. And it's a crime noir stuff, very similar to Brubaker and Phillips's criminal stuff and the other joint ventures they did together. Very neat book. Then next up we have the No Hero hardcover. I bought this at one of the Avatar sales, which they are promoting through Diamond Previews, so this was actually a lot cheaper than it was advertised. I only paid like $13, I think, for it. And this is also an awesome book. I really like Warren Ellis's take on the superhero genre, and the artwork by Juan Jose Rip is awesome. I love him, one of my favorite newer artists, or at least artists that came out in the last 15 years, I guess. He's done a lot of stuff for Avatar and a few books at Marvel also, but not a lot of Marvel. And he came on my radar through an adaptation of Frank Miller's RoboCop script, which he also did for Avatar. Awesome book. Then next up we have the Graveyard Moon graphic novel from the Night Terror series from John Carpenter's publishing company Storm King. And this is a neat little space horror story. And yeah, not bad at all. And now we have another book from the Night Terror series. This is 13 Horsemen, with artwork and story by Ned Jones, and this is about a motorcycle gang that's going up against demons. I really like horror books, and especially the stuff that is published by John Carpenter under his Storm King publishing company is very good so far. And here we have the third Night Terrors graphic novel called Black Sparrow, which is also a horror story but set in a western setting, and this was also not bad at all. Written by Steve Niles with artwork by Scott Hampton. And what I really like about this book is the fact that it reminds me of classic western comics from the artwork. It's not bad. It's sort of a coming of the Antichrist. Then we have Year Zero, Volume 2 by Ava Upshot. And I bought this because, again, another book by Juan Jose Rip. This one I haven't read yet because I first want to catch up with Volume 1, which I don't own right now. I need to pick it up at some point, and then I will read both volumes. Then next up we have Nancy in Hell, which is a character created by Al Torres, and this was released by Amigo Comics. I really like the Nancy in Hell stuff. There have been 2 previous miniseries, and this is sort of a relaunch, and there's also a crossover with Savage Dragon, and this is very reminiscent of old school trash horror stuff like Army of Darkness, and really cool artwork, also very violent. Really nice book, I really enjoyed it. So then we have Garth Ennis's Sarah, which was released by TKO Studios, and it's also a trade paperback collection of a miniseries, and it deals with female snipers in the Russian army during World War II. Also a very nice book. Garth Ennis is probably my favorite writer, although I'm not that much of a fan of his war books. I mostly like his stuff like Preacher or The Boys, which is great, and obviously his Punisher run on Marvel Max was super awesome. Then next up we have the Cain and Abel graphic novel by Shaky Cain and Grant Abel. And this one I mostly bought because of Shaky Cain. I really like Shaky Cain. I prior to this never heard of Grant Abel. And I love the weirdness of Shaky Cain's comics and his really nice art style. Very, I would say, calming. I don't know, that's maybe the wrong description. And it has just cool stuff, but what really blew me away was the stuff by Grant Abel, which is this storyline, Black Fur. And I never heard of this artist before, and I just love this indie trashy stuff. And this one has probably the best splash page I have seen in quite a while, which is the appearance of Black Fur with 2 dolls on his shoulders holding chainsaws, and just such an amazing image. And because of this, I actually bought one of Grant Abel's own graphic novels, which is this Big Book of Mischief, although it's not really a graphic novel, but more a collection of stories he published in a music magazine. So all of these revolve around artists, music artists, or most of them, and they're really weird, sometimes violent, and just fun to read. And then next up I've got this Michael Moorcock Library Eldritch, the Eternal Champion collection, and I bought this mostly because of the artwork of Philippe Droulet, which I'm fan is a bit overstated, but I really love his weird space stuff that he did in Lone Sloan, and I wasn't really familiar with the other artist, which is Michael Cawthorne, James Cawthorne, I'm sorry. And these were really early Eldritch comic books, which were also written by the original creator, Michael Moorcock, and really nice black and white artwork. I haven't really read it yet, but I just love looking at the art, especially Philippe Droulet's art is so nice and detailed, really great stuff. You can see a lot of work went into this, and the original comics that are reprinted in this were released, I think, in 1976 and 1973, something like that. And then next up I've got this Omnibus hardcover of Hack and Slash. As you can see, it's still in the foil, so I haven't read this either, although I've got all the single issues that are reprinted in this, but I just love these oversized hardcovers Image puts out, and I will buy the whole series in this format definitely as reading copies, so I don't need to touch my original books. And yeah, Hack and Slash, for those of you that don't know, is creator owned by Tim Seeley. Sadly, at some point a few years ago, he lost interest in it, and since then there have been very few books that came out with Hack and Slash, and none of them written by himself. And this is a really also a nice homage to old slasher movies, and Cassie Hack, which is the main character, is sort of the final girl in a slasher movie, and her mother was a slasher, and so she decides after her mother passes away to hunt down slashers. And yeah, if you're into funny and violent horror books, I can't I would definitely recommend this. And yeah, I always loved Hack and Slash. Maybe at some point I will show off my Hack and Slash comic book collection. I've got, I think, all of them, but yeah, whatever. So, and then next up, I also purchased the Marvel art of the Brothers Hillebrand, and this is a very large hardcover, which very neatly shows the process of how they made mostly the Marvel Masterpieces 1994 stuff, and some other work, covers and other trading cards they did for Marvel. And as you can see, a really nice oversized format. And since the 94 masterpieces are my favorite masterpieces set, I needed to get this book. And yeah, it's really awesome. Maybe I'll show it in more detail in the future at some point. And last but not least, I wanted to show you some of my mangas I've been recently buying and reading. So here's Junji Ito's Remina, which I recently bought and read. And Junji Ito does mostly horror short stories, but this is a full graphic novel with one story, and it's a really weird one. There's a planet closing in on Earth that is essentially alive and yeah, tends to eat Earth. And yeah, really weird and creepy stuff he does. Then I also have got the Fist of the North Star Volume 1 hardcover from Viz Comics, which was recently released. And yeah, I'm a big fan of Fist of the North Star, one of my favorite mangas of all time, especially the early movie. Very violent, very cool stuff. And I've always wanted to own a nice edition of the original manga. So this is definitely going to be a series that I will be following up. And just because I've got these two also lying around, I thought I'd share those too. So here we have Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt number 15, which I've been reading, although I have to catch up to this volume. I think I've read the first 5 or 6 books of it, and I've also always been a big fan of Mobile Suit Gundam, although I have to admit that a lot of the TV or animated series are more miss than hit, because I like the overall theme of universal war, and but a lot of the times the animated series tend to focus on the teeny drama of the pilots, which is not so much my thing. And the last book I'm going to show you is One Punch Man Volume 22. And yeah, since I first seen the animated series, I loved this character. Such a funny take on superheroes, and I also need to catch up on this because I'm still missing, I think, number 17. And yeah, so that's mostly it. Just a few books I've been reading and collecting recently. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and maybe it's next time. Bye bye.